Today we will talk about feud between dances, especially Bachata and Kizomba. Hello my beautiful subscribers, Rasa the dancer is here, and as you know this channel is mostly about salsa and bachata, and I mentioned a couple of things about Kizomba in this channel, but I'm getting more and more into it, and particularly urban side and dulce side. So I'm still new and fresh. I don't know a lot about the community just from all my fellow teachers who do Kizomba. And I'm trying to learn more and introduce a little bit more here on this channel as well. But what happened, I prefer to dance urban kiss rather than traditional Kizomba. And what I have noticed that there is a situation with urban kiss and traditional Kizomba the same way, or maybe a little bit different, but very similar as Dominican Bachata and Sensual Bachata. And that was fascinating to me because on this channel, as you know, I love to dance all of the styles. So I'm not against any of the styles, but I'm very, very adamant that the teachers teach the history of the dance so that, let's say with the Dominican bachata, it would be clear where the bachata comes from because it's, you know, it's from a specific country and it's, you know, it's part of their culture. And so now that I'm getting into urban kiss, I'm like, oh my God, there is a similarity there with traditional Kizomba and how urban kiss developed. And I'm gonna talk on this video a little bit about what I have discovered because I've talked about these things before. But because of urban kiss and all of the videos that I've been watching and educating myself, I got a little bit of like a different inspiration to talk about the subject on its own. So I'm going to give you a couple of different ideas that I've been battling with, and maybe in your comments you could actually participate and maybe we could have a more interesting conversation as we go forward. Alright, so the first point before we go into a deep conversation I want to make is this. Is it unfortunate that we're using Bachata name for Bachata Sensual or Urban Kiss for the Urban Kizomba? Yes, it's unfortunate. But my first argument is this. It's too popular of the dance itself, Sensual Bachata and Urban Kiss, to change the name now. The name is not gonna change. It might change the name as the dance develops into something else, but we stuck with the name. So is it unfortunate that that's the name? Yes. Could have we named it something else? Sure, but that's the name we have, and basically we just need to stop now being a little bit angry about the fact that we're calling it what we're calling it, because we've been calling it for very long. The community has already built into massive scale. So now let's just talk about in general other things that we might be upset with rather than the name itself. Let's leave the name alone. There's nothing we can do now to change everything. Now it would be insane. So we got the name. It is what it is. At least I would say, at least Urban Kiss was very smart. It's Urban Kiss. They didn't call it Urban Kizomba. We should have called it Sensual, but you see it's harder. Sensual Chata or something, you know what I mean? Urban Kiss did good. Urban Kiss instead of Urban Kizomba, that's good. But in general, the name is what it is. So my first point, stop being angry about what it's called and let's dive into the dance itself. Okay, so now it prompted me into this video, this particular thing. I was watching Kizomba videos and I was watching interviews, the difference between urban kiss and Kizomba. I watched different artists talk about different things. And this guy, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it well, forgive me, as I say, I'm still new at the Kizomba scene, but this guy called Laurent, he dances all kinds of Kizombas, but he deviated towards urban kiss and other styles of kiss. And he said something that really triggered me in a good way. he explained a lot about the fact that the reason a lot of people who dance traditional dances, in this case he was referring to Kizomba, the reason it strikes a nerve to those dancers or people in general who enjoy the dance is because it's related to their culture. And what he said as well that really was mind-blowing to me, I mean, we all know this, but it just sank into me differently when he said it, that a lot of us, including me, that's not my culture, and I might have fallen in love with the dance that is happening without knowing the culture first, and without knowing the music, but I fell in love with the different side of it, and I fell in love just the dance itself. I don't carry the love for the culture in terms of it's not personal. You know, you can respect the culture, but it's not personal to me, the love for the culture, right? It's not my culture, it's different how we carry our culture and how we precede other cultures. We might respect it, but it's different. So when you have, you know, it's fair enough that the people who are not really into other people changing their dance, they're saying, you know, you are messing with our culture, which a lot of people now who dance that other version of the dance is actually coming in because of the love for that particular thing and as a dance itself, and they don't necessarily relate to the aspect of culture. And those who do, they would go for more traditional. And that for me was a very big moment when I was listening to him speak, because it makes sense to me, like, why is this battle? Why are we fighting it? And, you know, we keep on saying, oh my God, just let people live and do their thing. And this is a huge thing. This is why a lot of people have such a huge issue about, you know, sensual bachata or urban kids. That's why people have such huge issue, because for them it's not the dance, for them it's their culture. And for us, most of us, it's just the dance. And that's why we don't understand why you can't let me live and do my thing. But for them it's the culture. So I thought I'll bring this point, and as I say, if I'm mispronouncing his name, Laurent, I'm gonna try find him and tag him so that you could research him as well. But I thought the way he speaks is very wise, and he said something that really triggered something in me. So I wanted to share that with you, that maybe that will kind of open your mind a little bit of why it is a conversation to have. Now, another incredible point that I have discovered along my journey is that we haven't decided to change the dance, like Dominican bachata, let's say. We have just heard different music and started to interpret it differently. So a lot of the times, you know, if we would go to a club, the music that some DJs would do, like, they would test something, they would whether do a remix or they would play a little bit with the sound of the song. And as the music is changing, people start interpreting music differently, or they picked up some songs and would be like, I wonder if I could do something with that, which is a natural artistic way of being, and that's how it has been through every dance. So naturally, Dominican bachata dance start being interpreted in different ways because the music slightly start deviating a little bit, and people's artistic creativity that's been happening through all over the world and through all of the times started changing the dance. The problem was that, you know, a lot of the dance that has changed through time, it wasn't necessarily cultural, it wasn't in the roots, it wasn't in, you know, that all of the families were raised with that dance and it's part of your culture. It was more that that's the popular dance of the time that danced in that place. So it wasn't that personal. But the evolution of dance is the most natural, normal thing that could ever happen. So it's happened, and the dance has evolved, and by evolved doesn't mean better. It's just changed, right? But the problem is we have the cultural aspect. That's why I always say that if you're teaching bachata sensual, you have all the rights, but you have to let the people know where originally the dance comes from, so that they could explore that side, and maybe they would choose to do more of that dance. And if they don't, at least they would know where the dance comes from, so that they would pay respect to the music when it's playing. For example, if it's a pure Dominican song and you start doing neck rolls and crazy movements that does not belong to the culture, that's why it's insulting. But if you know where the roots are coming from and you can distinguish the music, where is the Dominican traditional music and where is sensual music or modern music, maybe not even sensual, you can distinguish the difference and you can pay respects to when it's necessary. Because this is not just evolving the dance, it involves a culture. So we don't want to appropriate or take it as our own and say we did, we made bachata, whatever, right? So that's the important part. And I believe with urban kids, as I say, I'm still new in Kizomba, so I'm not going to speak with 100% confidence. But I think that's important as well, that if you're teaching Kizomba, even if you call it urban kids or just a style of Kizomba, I think it's important for people to know where it comes from and, the style that it is and what culture it comes with. And then you do your thing and you say, we changed the dance, but it comes from this place, because this dance also comes with a lot of culture. So I think that's the important bit. I think it's absolutely wonderful when dances are changing and things, changing and evolving in different aspects, and it has been going on through decades. But it's important that if the dance comes with culture, to pay respect to the culture and explain the history, so we could be educated and not appropriate anything, and actually pay respect to the music and the culture itself. I talk to Sensual Bachata teachers all the time, and I speak in this camera on my YouTube channel all the time about how the people need to educate about the history of the dance. I do my part. I dance both Dominican and Sensual, and I do my part in educating people when I teach Sensual. However, I'm gonna try and ask all of my Dominican friends, or maybe soon to be friends, or people I don't know but Dominicans, to be careful and be more understanding. Demand people to explain what bachata really is and where it comes from, but don't insult people who dance sensual. Because what happens now, and I had that a few times as well on my videos, if I upload a video, let's say, and it's a sensual video, right? I get few comments from Dominicans saying, all kinds of things. This is not bachata. This, what is this weird movement? Learn how to dance. This and that and that. So now you, instead, leaving a comment and saying, bachata comes from this and this, but I appreciate what you're doing. Or just so that anybody who's watching know that bachata comes from Dominican Republic, blah, 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 blah. That I would understand. But now you're coming out and saying, look at her moving weird and this is... I don't move weird. I move as I please. It's a dance. I do what I want. So when you start insulting the person and their movement without knowing the fight that they're fighting for your bachata and providing the information and everything, but as an artist choosing to participate in expression and freedom of expression, but fighting for education and making sure that the more people know where the dance comes from, the better. You don't know that I'm fighting that fight, but when you make these comments, no bueno. So you're putting people off, and I'm not gonna let those comments to put me off and not fight the fight. But I think it's really important for you to choose how you approach the situation, because at this point we are gonna dance sensual or any version of bachata, but you have to be careful of who you're gonna be insulting, rather educating. Thank you for for watching, and now it's your time to participate in the comments, guys. I'm really looking forward to. Does that make sense to you what this video was about and the conversations I have discovered through my Kizomba Urban Kids journey? If so, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And of course, I'm gonna leave you here with other videos for Dominican Bachata and some education, so to prove my point. And guys, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah! I'll see you soon.